What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king, excited to finally bring to you my Let's Play of Pokemon Black and White. Generation 5 is finally here, and this series is long overdue. If you were to ask me of all the Pokemon games, what I think is the best in the series, the most well-designed and the most accessible to not only Pokemon fans, but RPG fans in general, I'm going to pick these games 10 times out of 10. I've said before that Pokemon Emerald is my favorite game in the series, but that's also me being honest about my nostalgia. That's the game I played the most growing up, but I understand its flaws and that it's not as tightly designed and well-structured as these games. Black and White stand out as kind of the definitive Pokemon experience because of the many great conventions that they established, while also breaking a lot of outdated ones. One of the most notable is the fact that there is no Pokemon Gray version. No definitive edition like Crystal, Emerald, and Platinum before it. Black and White are that definitive edition, and they had to get it right the first time, but that also means that I have to come to a decision as to which version I want to play. And I'm picking White version for basically one reason and one reason only. This is the one I picked back in 2010, and that's because I liked the design of Zekrom on the cover more than Reshiram, plain and simple. With all that said, let me stop wasting any more of your time, and let's get this show on the road. Hi there! Welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Professor Juniper, but everyone calls me the Pokemon Professor. That's right, this world is widely inhabited by mysterious creatures called Pokemon. Pokemon have mysterious powers. They come in many shapes and live in many different places. We humans live happily with Pokemon. Living and working together, we complement each other. We help each other out to accomplish difficult tasks. Having Pokemon battle one another is particularly popular, and it deepens the bonds between people and Pokemon. And that is why I research them. Well, that's enough from me. Could you tell me a bit about yourself? Are you a boy or a girl? So with the last game that we looked at, Pokemon Legends Arceus, I tried to break an established convention up to this point of constantly picking the boy protagonist, because I don't want to be so rigid in that regard. It was just kind of something I just did because that's what I am. I am a boy. But you know what? From now on, I want to mix things up a little bit more. I tried to stress that when I was going through Legends Arceus. However, this is a bit of a special case. I do like Hilda's design. Don't get me wrong. I think she is one of the better female protagonists. But Hilbert here, this is the protagonist that I identify with from a visual standpoint more than any other protagonist in the entire Pokemon series. He is basically me to a T. That hat, long, curly hair combo that he's got going on is... That's me. That's my aesthetic, like 100%. So, as much as I love you, Hilda, I gotta go with Hilbert. And yes, I'm a boy, so let me just name him after myself, as I have been doing, again, up to this point in most of the Let's Plays, where I've actually picked the boy counterpart. But I will be changing this very soon. Don't you worry. Even in the next series that we look at, I won't be playing as the boy. I promise. We're going to be switching things up a lot more. Just this time around, I have to do it. Name is Levi. Yes, name is Levi. What a wonderful name. Well, thank you, Professor Juniper. I appreciate it. Well then, I'm going to introduce you to your two best friends. This young man is Charon. He can be a little difficult, but he's a very honest person. And this young woman is Bianca. She's a little flighty, but she works very hard. I think you three have potential, so I'm going to give you a very, very important Pokemon. Levi, the moment you choose the Pokemon that will accompany you on your journey, your story will truly begin. During your journey, you will meet many Pokemon and people with different personalities and points of view. I really hope you find what is important to you in all of these travels. That's right, befriend new people and Pokemon and grow as a person. That is the most important goal for your journey. Let's go visit the world of Pokemon. Levi, I heard from Professor Juniper. We could have a Pokemon? What's keeping Bianca? Am I a little late again? Sorry. Bianca, I've known for 10 years that you have no sense of time, but seriously, today's the day we can get a Pokemon from Professor Juniper. Of all the days. I know. Sorry, Levi. Sorry, Charon. So, where are the Pokemon? They were delivered to Levi's house, so Levi gets first pick. Naturally. The Pokemon are waiting for us inside that gift box. Okay, Levi, you go first and take a peek at the gift box. I want to meet the Pokemon right now. Alright, well, let's not keep anybody waiting. Let's take a look at the box and see what we got inside. But first, there's a little postcard attached. I brought 3 Pokemon, one for you and one for each of your friends. Please settle your choices politely. Enjoy your Pokemon, Professor Juniper. When we look inside, we are greeted with 3 Pokeballs, and we're going to be going over each of these individually before I make the decision. Let's begin with Snivy. Snivy is a pure grass type that evolves into Servine at level 17 and again into Serperior at level 36. It is the most defensive and the fastest of the 3 starter choices, and balanced enough on offense that you can pretty much go either way from a physical or special standpoint. It learns a very solid offensive move pretty early on in Leaf Tornado and an excellent status move in Coil not long before evolving into Serperior. However, its HP stat is so low that it sort of kind of offsets its own defensive gains in a way that doesn't make it that much better than the other 2 options, and it's pretty heavily outclassed in the offensive department by both as well. Sure, it's more balanced in every area but it's never going to be any sort of sweeper in your team composition. It's just sort of an anchor. A signature move is Leaf Storm, which dishes out a whopping 140 base power with a 90% chance of hitting, but it doesn't learn this move until level 62, and it lowers your special attack by 2 stages, usually making this move kind of a one and done deal unless you have some sort of hold item like a white herb. Next up is Tepig. Tepig is a pure fire type that gains a fighting type once it evolves into Pignite at level 17 and eventually evolves into Emboar at level 36. This Pokemon is a pure physical powerhouse with a whopping 123 base attack stat, has a high HP stat which also sort of makes up for its lack of defenses, but its speed stat leaves the most to be desired. This is made up for pretty early on by a move called Flame Charge, which it learns at level 15. This ability allows it to gain speed every single time it successfully lands, and this move is kind of a keeper pretty much right up until the end of the game. This is the only dual-type Pokemon line of the 3 Unovan starters, which is also a pretty huge deal, and it makes up for a really compelling case right off the bat. On top of that, the Fire-type coverage across this entire game is pretty lacking, although your best alternative for a good Fire-type in Black and White early on is a Darmanitan, which, despite its single-typing, also fills Emboar's niche really well. Not to mention, as you get later into the game, Emboar will run into the most disadvantages. On top of that, its signature move Flare Blitz, while certainly able to be used more frequently than something like Leaf Storm, is certainly the most punishing of any of the 3 signature moves, especially in long, drawn-out battles, and its second best option for fire damage is that Flame Charge I was talking about earlier, which kind of limits its move pool. Last but certainly not least is Oshawott. Oshawott is a pure water type that evolves into Dewott at level 17 and again into Samurott at level 36. It is sort of the middle ground pick between the other 2 starters in that it's not quite as safe and balanced as the Snivy line, but it's also not as purely physically oriented as the Tepig line. It's a hair quicker than Tepig with a good balance in attack and special attack stats, while also having an above average HP stat, although its physical defense is better than its special defense, which in a water type isn't the most ideal. It also doesn't learn its first good move until after it evolves, which, while only being a couple levels of difference, can be a tad annoying in the early stages of the game. Its typing alone is an inherent advantage, as a lot of water types have it pretty easy in just about any Pokemon game, black and white included. But its focus on physical over special somewhat undermines that advantage, as water types tend to thrive more in the special department. While Razor Shell is a fantastic move, it too doesn't get much better than that until it learns Aqua Tail at level 35, which isn't the most accurate move in the world. To top it all off, its signature move doesn't even synergize, which is Hydro Pump, a special move. The good news, at least, is that Hydro Pump is a very safe one that doesn't have any drawbacks to it aside from its accuracy. But the fact that this is the only starter with a signature move that doesn't play into its biggest strengths is kind of unfortunate. So, as I've done with every single Pokemon series up to this point, I like to, if I can, go with the Pokemon that I grew up with, the one that I picked in my very first ever playthrough of this game. I've been very consistent with this so far, going with Squirtle all the way back in Leaf Green. Soul Silver was a little bit of an exception, and then I went with Sceptile in Emerald. This time around, I'm going to be going with Snivy. You're probably wondering, why was Snivy your first pick? Well, again, it kind of all comes down to aesthetics. I just love the way this line looks. That's not to say that I don't also like the Oshawott and Tepig lines in their own way, but this is the one that I just prefer the most, even though from a practicality standpoint, I would say that this is probably the worst of the three, if I'm going to be as frank as possible. It certainly makes the game the hardest of the three. Okay, I'll take this Pokemon. Charon, that one's yours. Hey, how come you get to pick out my Pokemon? Oh, never mind. I want a Tepig from the start anyway. Everyone has chosen a Pokemon, so that's that. Hey, I know. Let's have a Pokemon battle. Honestly, Bianca, even though they're still weak Pokemon, you shouldn't have Pokemon battles inside a house. Don't be a worrywart. These little ones are weak, like you said. We have to let them battle so they'll get stronger. It's settled, Levi. Get ready for a Pokemon battle. Can we just not break my Wii and TV? All right, whatever, Bianca. So, the way that this works is every single time, Bianca is going to be choosing the starter that your Pokemon has the type advantage against, and Charon is going to pick the one that your Pokemon is weak to. No matter how you swing it, whether you pick Tepig, Oshawott, regardless of what it is, that is how it is always going to play out. Now, the one nice thing about picking Snivy above the three, especially in these very first battles, is that Snivy is undoubtedly the fastest, which means that unless you have like a nature that lowers your speed, you should be going first every single time, which, I mean, a tackle really doesn't miss anymore, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. In fact, I should talk about that. Generation 5 saw an introduction, or introduced a lot of buffs to very conventional moves, and as well as some nerfs too, but to moves that had been kind of the exact same ever since Generation 1, and one of the key ones is Tackle. Tackle used to be a base power of 35 with a, I believe, accuracy of 95%, so not 100% accurate. But in Generation 5, they upped its power to be a base power of 50 with an accuracy of 100, so it actually can do something, which is kind of awesome. So that's already a big boon, but there's going to be a whole lot more of those that we're going to see later on, and it looks like my TV's totaled, but at least my Wii is okay. Wow, Levi, you're going to be an awesome trainer someday, I can tell, no doubt. Bianca, would you take a look around? I love the paw prints that run along the side of the wall. Whoa, what happened? Wow, Pokemon are amazing. So little, but so strong. I'm so glad that I get to have one. Oh, sorry about your room, Levi. You are completely hopeless. Here, I'll restore your Pokemon for you. And Levi's Pokemon needs to be fixed up too. All right, well, we'll take that. Thank you. Hey, Charon, how about you battle too? With all you know, I'm sure you can get a battle. You can battle without turning the room into a disaster like I did. I believe you're right. There'll be no problem for me to keep the room from getting any messy. I mean, I don't think you could make this worse. Again, just don't knock my Wii over, please. It's decided. You'll be my opponent in our first Pokemon battle. Let's see what you can do, Tepig. All right, another battle begins. And like I said, we still have that speed advantage, so this mostly should be fine. Just stick to the physical moves. Don't try to get cheeky with Tail Whip or Leer. It's just not worth doing. I mean, again, unless you are one of the slower Pokemon. That honestly changes things a little bit. But usually they're going to be more inclined to use things like Leer, like Growl. Actually, the more I think about it, though, I think all three of the Unovan starters don't have attack-lowering moves. They only have defense-lowering moves, which makes this a lot more straightforward. Because if they had attack-lowering moves, that can actually throw you off a lot. Yeah, so Tepig has Tail Whip, and then both Snivy and Oshawott have Leer. which works out in my favor. And, a critical hit. That's also nice. So we're probably going to be taking out Tepig on the next turn, and that should push Snivy to level 6. Beautiful. Good job. And with all that, get a little bit of a stats increase, almost to level 7, and Cheren has been defeated. So that's a Pokemon battle. And we get a little bit of extra money for winning, too. Even in these little exhibitions, they're paying out. I made a strange blunder in my first battle, but this feeling I have. I'm finally a trainer. But first, we better go apologize to your mother about this messed up room. Oh, I'd better come, too. But are we just going to leave? Guys, could you at least pick up the trap? Seriously, look, listen, I know I was stressing about the Wii, but all of this is bad. My rug, my bed, my freaking table. What even was this? Was this the table? Did this table or counter desk end up on top of another desk? Honestly, I don't know. But I'm going to head on down and see how we get reprimanded here. I'm very sorry about all the trouble, ma'am. Well, we can clean up. Cleaning up? No worries. I'll take care of it later. Shouldn't you be on your way to meet Professor Juniper? Yes, thank you. Please excuse us. Come on, let's go thank Professor Juniper. I'll be waiting in front of the Pokemon Research Lab. Oh, wait, I've got to go home first. Thanks for having us over. Yeah, way to just leave me high and dry, guys. Hi, Mom. Am I in trouble? My, Levi, Pokemon battles are so lively, aren't they? I can hear the Pokemon's cries clear down here. That sure reminded me of my first Pokemon battle. Oh, and after a battle, you need to rest your Pokemon. And we get another complimentary heal. Well, thank you, Mom. Your Pokemon is looking great. Now, if you're going out, don't forget your cross transceiver. I cannot tell you how many times I am likely going to slip up and call this the X transceiver because that's how I first read it all those years ago and continue to call it that for many years. It wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago that I realized it was properly called the cross transceiver, so yeah, that's probably going to happen a lot. If it happens, don't get mad at me, please. You're going to thank the professor too, right? Better get going, honey. Well, I'm just glad that our mom's a saint in this game. So I guess we can head on out and see Nuvema Town and the wider world. Look at all these birdies, the P-doves flying around, the sun coming into view. So I didn't show it at the beginning, but we are actually starting this Let's Play in the season of winter. The way that seasons work in Pokemon Black and White is that they change month over month. So rather than the standard 3-month cycle that we're used to, I'm recording this in April, so as soon as it transitions over to May, then it's going to be spring, and then June is summer, and July is fall, and so on and so on and so on and so on. This is actually important for a myriad of reasons that we'll be getting into later, but for now, we'll just continue as normal. So I'm going to check out both Cheren and Bianca's house before we head on over to the lab. This whole first episode is basically just going to consist of us exploring around Nuvema Town before we go any further. Hey, Levi, I heard it from the professor. So, you're getting a Pokemon, eh? Oh, you've already got it. That sure is a cute Pokemon. And you're all finally starting your journeys as trainers? Well, let me read you a passage from the book called Adventure Rules. The X button is vitally important to trainers. Never forget that. Well, why don't we take a look and see what it does? And there is our menu. Okay. So, first things first, before I do anything else, I got to get the text speed up to fast because I am not about to deal with that any longer than we already have. Why don't we also take a look at our Snivy really quickly and take a look at its summary. So, we got a Snivy with a docile nature. Docile nature is one of the completely neutral natures in the game. So, no raised stats, no lowered stats, etc. You notice that Snivy has a higher special attack than it does a physical attack. As it starts to evolve, that's going to flip, and its physical attack is going to become the stronger stat. But for right now, something to keep in mind, special attack is just a little bit better. It's got Overgrow as its ability, which powers up grass-type moves in a pinch. I believe it's below 33% HP. And this is actually a very good sweeping tactic. If you can keep it at a low health and constantly take advantage of that move, you can get a lot of damage out. Very underrated move that all starters are capable of getting. Well, for their type equivalents anyway. That Cheren, I'm sure he's at the laboratory. He's so, how should I put it, diligent or better, conscientious. So I wanted to go and talk to all the parents because I have to imagine, since we all grew up as childhood friends, that we'd all be aware of each other's parents, right? We'd all know them pretty well. I don't know the last names of Cheren and Bianca, so I can't be like, bye, Mr. and Mrs. Cheren. No, that doesn't work. All right, let's head into Bianca's house. No, 1,000 times no. But I'm a good trainer who got a Pokemon and everything. I can totally go on an adventure. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. I'll be waiting for you in front of the lab, okay? What nonsense is this? How could my daughter, who knows nothing about the world, be going on a journey with Pokemon? Well, I mean, you got to give her a chance, but you know what? If we're talking about like the rules of real life, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Don't mind my husband, dear. He's just being overprotective. All children go on adventures with Pokemon. It's part of growing up. Yes, in this world. Now, I have to stress, though, that the characters that you're playing as in this game are not 10. In many of the previous Pokemon games, your protagonists were only 10, 11, maybe 12 years old growing up. These protagonists, I believe, are 14, which is... I mean, it's still young. It's still too young to be going out on an adventure yourself in most cases. But again, I guess not in the Pokemon world. However, as far as Pokemon protagonists go, these kids are decidedly grown up. Just going to put that out there. But let's head on over to the lab and talk to everybody. Okay, let's go meet the professor. All right, right behind you guys. Hi there, I've been waiting for you young people. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Professor Juniper. We know your name. Come, Charon. This is not a time to take things lightly. Today is the day to remember always, so it's best to behave with some formality. That being so, once again, my name is Professor Juniper, and I am researching when and how the creatures called Pokemon came into existence. Oh, that's unusual. You've already had a Pokemon battle, so maybe that's why. It feels as though your Pokemon have already begun to trust you. By the way, would you like to give your Pokemon a nickname? Yes, I would, as a matter of fact. Okay, so here's the thing about Snivy. Snivy, as it continues to evolve, becomes a bit more snooty, a bit more regal. And don't get me wrong, Snivy's already got an air of snootiness about him. But the whole idea of the superior line is that they are kings. They are kingly, I suppose. Like I said, regal, very monarch-like. I mean, it's literally in the name superior, if that makes sense. If you pay attention to Superior's model, it's literally got hands that it constantly like keeps behind its back as if it's like a regal walking around the court or something along those lines. So I thought, okay, if my Snivy comes out as a male or a female, I gotta name him after some famous king or queen, but I obviously don't want to like, name it after any controversial political figure or anything. So I thought, you know what? Let's just go fictional. So I'm going to be naming my male Snivy after one of the most famous kings in all of literature, and that is Arthur. Aha, I see. Are you okay with the nickname? Arthur it is. That's such a great name. As for why I gave all of you Pokemon, it's for the Pokedex, right? Pokedex? I am astonished. Nice work, Charon. You've already studied Pokemon extensively, haven't you? Still, let me explain everything from the beginning for everyone's sake. Pokedex is a high-tech device that automatically records the Pokemon you encounter. So I want you three to visit many places and meet all of the Pokemon in the Unova region. This is my request. Levi, Charon, Bianca, you'll go on an adventure to complete the Pokedex, will you not? There's no point in saying no because she just does this. Here's what I need from you. I want you to be courageous words of people who blaze new paths around the world. I want you three to travel to many distant places to meet all the Pokemon in the Unova region. And then we have to say yes because we don't really have a choice. Okay. I mean, yes, Professor. Thank you very much. Because of you, I can become a Pokemon trainer, exactly as I've always wished. All of you, thanks. You have given me the best possible answer, the only possible answer. And the Pokedex is ours. Next, I need to teach you how to meet Pokemon. Please meet me at Route 1, okay? Alright, well, we'll see you there in a second. Since the professor asked us, it's okay to go on an adventure, right? I can explore and maybe find out what I want to do in life. I think I'd like that. Of course. We can travel however we want while we complete the Pokedex. Alright, well, let's head on out. And I'm sure you two will be right behind me. Mom, what are you doing out here? Hey, Levi, wait up. Oh, there you are. And what did the professor have to say? She asked you to complete the Pokedex? I can't believe it. Well, actually, I can. I already knew she was going to ask. That's why I brought you three of these town maps. Take them with you. And then we can actually take a look at the region itself. We'll have to take a look at that as soon as we get out of this conversation. Here you are, Charon. I'll take good care of it. And one for you too, Bianca. Thank you so much. As for your room, Levi, or what's left of it, no need for any of you to worry. I'll take care of tidying up. Okay, Levi? No, seriously, don't come home. Mom's watching her soaps. I mean, Pokemon, they are so cute, but they have enough power to destroy a bedroom. They really are something. With Pokemon like that at your side, you'll be safe wherever you go. I'll let your parents know. I hope that, in addition to Pokemon, you'll find lots and lots of places you like in the Unova region and become wonderful adults. Have a great trip. If I use the town map, I'll always know where I am. That's certainly helpful. Shall we head to Route 1? The professor's waiting. Let's go, let's go. Levi, hurry and come too. I'll be there in a second. I do want to take a look at my town map really quickly just so that we can see the wider Unova region as it is now. So let's see. So we are right here in Nuvema town. You'll notice that there are all sorts of locations all across the place, across the region. Every single one of them named. Obviously, none of them are accessible. The only ones that we have been to thus far are the ones that are actually filled in. You see these gray circles, but then we have a blue. Is it? I've never been able to tell. Is it blue or green? I think it's blue. A blue circle here, and then I think it's green for the ones that you're not currently in, if I'm not mistaken. But that's going to tell you where you're supposed to go. But we can at least see what lies ahead with the help of the town map. Now, I know this is a weird place to end, but this is going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching this first episode of Pokemon White. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. Next time, we are going to be heading out onto Route 1, making our way to the very first town, and hopefully beyond even that. We will have to see, but we're going to be actually catching some Pokemon in the next episode as well. Not for the sake of my team, but for the sake of catching them. So I hope you're all looking forward to that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.